Okay, we're up. We are good to go.
All right. Hello, hello. I know if you have been here before on Earth Day Every Day, this is kind of a twist. My name is Blythe, and I am a coworker of Helen's. I'll be giving you the intro slides. So if you've seen these before, nice to see you again. And if you've never heard of Earth Day Every Day, we'll give you a little taste of who we are, our department, and things like that. And then Helen and I will take it away. So I appreciate y'all coming in. This is the series for Earth Day Every Day, but if you're here for Tossing Traditions of Valentine's, you're in the right place. My name is Blythe, and I'm with the City of Dallas in the Environmental Quality and Sustainability Department, and so is Helen. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background about who we are, what we do, who's talking at you for the next hour, and then we'll get to the good stuff. So for a little bit of our history of our department, we were established in 2004 as the Office of Environmental Quality. So we did not have that and sustainability added on yet. We're gaining traction, we're getting a little bit bigger. And in 2008, we were the first city, Dallas, not San Francisco, not Austin, not Houston, the first city here, Dallas, to achieve ISO 140-100. So that means from the paper that we printed to the cars that we drove, we were going to be sure that we were checking boxes in environmental quality and sustainability. In 2018, that's going to be 10 years past, we double in size. And our sustainability is added to that name. So now we are the Office of Environmental Quality and Sustainability. If you don't want to go through with a mouthful, we call it DEQS. Fast forward a little, we're gaining traction, we're doing better, we're checking boxes, we're achieving things. And in 2019, the mayor sets aside a environmental and sustainability committee. So that is time out of his schedule to start working towards environmental and sustainability. And with that, just a year previous, Helen and I were able to on board on our positions in the outreach and engagement team as well. So we're moving and grooving. About 2019, we log on, we get really robust, we're getting really strong. And 2020, in April, marked the 50th year of Earth Day. So what to do to celebrate? We actually are able to get adopted of our climate action plan. We know it as CCAP. And we were actually the first North Texas city to have our CCAP plan adopted by the city council. Austin has a CCAP plan, and Houston, and a lot of coastal cities too, where you will feel that environmental pressure. But then Dallas stepped up to the plate for the North Texas cities. And now we have 97 actions to put to work, and we are getting to work. As of last year and this year too, we are getting towards it. And that's what brings us to things like this as well, virtually outreaching to you. So in our outreach and in environmental quality and sustainability, these are all the different flavors of what the Environmental Quality and Sustainability Office provides. You can see our box here in outreach and education, but there is air pollution control, there's zero waste, things like that. And we do have a little bit of an icon on stormwater management. So I want you to keep that in your brain as I keep talking to y'all in these intro slides. But we can see A to Z here. And that's exactly what we outreach on. We outreach on topics from A to Z, from air quality to growing veggies in your backyard, such as urban agriculture. Today, we're going to talk about Valentine's Day and making it green. We cover all sorts of different topics, but really quick, let's go to the letter S and let's talk about stormwater management. And if you know us and if you've been here before too, you know we love talking about stormwater because it all connects with stormwater. If we're taking care of our water and taking care of our air, we're going to be doing a lot better for ourselves and our earth. So within stormwater management, we want to remind you that stormwater inlets such as this one and stormwater drains, this is it. There is no Brita filter in there. There is no system of routes and pipes. It's just going to be one route to our rivers, our lakes, our creeks, and our oceans. So whatever goes down our stormwater drains will end up in these water bodies and even our drinking water. So with that, we remind you to always pick up after your pets due to the waste and also the pollution that pet waste provides. Be sure to bag those leaves if you haven't yet since fall, because those can clog our stormwater drains. And we want to be sure to never litter. So we can see about 5 different violations just within this one picture. And that is a really big bummer. But if we know a little bit more, if we start conversations at the dinner table, let's start being a little bit more stormwater ambassadors. And that goes on to feel a little bit more enthusiastically empowered about saving your earth. And we're here to help. We're here to outreach and engage with you. And if you're kind of curious about more what we do or more Earth Day everyday sessions where we're here at noon most Thursdays here with the Dallas Public Library, I want you to kind of pin in your head Green Dallas for more tips and tricks. We are also on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. We are on all the social medias. And if you would like a free gift for this session, feel free to shoot us an email at greendallas@dallascityhall.com. We will repeat that later in the program. But with that, those are my intro slides. That's a little bit about who we are, what we do, what's going on. And now let's toss some traditions for Valentine's Day.
Thank you very much, Blythe. So we want to thank you for joining us today as we toss those expensive, boring, and impractical traditions out this year. So Blythe, we can't see the slides yet. And there we go, perfect. So let's share some ideas on how to green up Valentine's Day. So we're really excited you joined us today. You met Blythe, and I'm Helen. And like she said, we both work for the City of Dallas in Office of Environmental Quality and Sustainability. Today, we're going to tag team this presentation about tossing traditions. So it's Valentine's Day, but this year, Valentine's Day is a year into a pandemic. That may influence your feelings about the day. But if you can't ignore the day, what can you do? Well, Blythe and I are here to help. We're going to share some simple, some obvious, and some not so obvious ideas for a joyful time with your sweetheart. We're going to take traditional Valentine's gifts and activities like a romantic dinner, a heart-shaped box of chocolates, or a sweet handwritten card and put a green twist on them. Then we're going to end the presentation with several do-it-yourselves for green gifts because Valentine's Day can be expensive. It's our goal to help you green up this special day and save you a little green along the way. So let's start with the most traditional thing for Valentine's Day, and that's cards. But please keep in mind, foil, glitter, lace, and stickers are not recyclable. However, you may be able to tear off the card's cover and recycle the last page. You know what? That sounds just like a pizza box. With a pizza box, you can tear off the greasy, cheesy bottom, but recycle the clean lid. So here's an example of a traditional Valentine's Day card. You can see it's got lots of stuff on it. It has glitter all over it. It has stickers up here. It even has metal rivets right here in the corners. So none of those things are recyclable. But let's check the inside. Maybe we can recycle the inside. So this card is just covered in glitter. There is glitter all around the sides. It has red foil in the little heart. And over here on this side, this is red foil. So actually not very much of this is recyclable at all. And not to mention, it is very expensive. This card is, oops, let me see here. This card is $10. It was $10 to buy this card. You know what? We can do so much better than that. So you're going to go to the store and this is what you see. That can be a little overwhelming. So instead, you can make your own recyclable or even compostable card, or what about a bookmark? This is a wonderful activity to do with children. You get to be creative, you can personalize, you can also make something that's recyclable or even compostable. Now, in a previous Earth Day Every Day in December, we had the Procrastinator's Green Gift Guide. We showed you how to make seed paper. You can find that video on the Dallas Public Library's YouTube page. Go to playlists and go to Dallas Environmental Quality and Sustainability, and it's there. And I'll add that link in the chat in a moment. Now, of course, when you're making your card or bookmark, you don't have to use seed paper. You can use regular paper, a glue stick, and non-toxic markers. If you want to get fancy, how about adding some confetti? A twist on confetti is to make it out of colorful plant leaves. And I'm going to show you how to do that in our DIY section. So crafting may not be your style, but there are fun and cute e-cards that you can give to coworkers, friends, and share on social media. And by the way, February 13th is Galentine's Day. It's actually a thing. It's a day for celebrating the love you have for your lady friends, whether they're single or not. Now, for a green twist, try these crazy cute e-cards from Take Care of Texas. They have free Texas and environmentally themed Valentine's cards that you can share with your friends, your family, and that special someone. Visit takecareoftexas.org and scroll down to the section called Hotwire, and you'll see a link to these cards and more. I also put that link in the chat.
So we think cards. What else are we seeing in CVS? Maybe about 10 p.m. before Valentine's Day. We're also seeing maybe some folks picking up roses. And this is where Helen really knows I harp on roses a little bit, because most roses are imported. Most roses are going to be coming from Colombia or Ecuador. So let's think about that for a moment. Let's think about the transportation needed. Let's think about the refrigeration needed to keep them fresh. Let's add cellophane wrap to add some plastic to those flowers and that little packet of food that you always finish half of and never really finish all of. So with all of that and our plastic wrapped cold fresh roses transported from Colombia or Ecuador here, they are going to be adding a lot more to your carbon footprint. So just think about roses, think about the emissions needed, think about the transportation needed. Also, if that doesn't really do it for you, think about the markups. On Valentine's Day, roses are marked up 100%. Kind of makes sense, but also think about really your wallet and getting greener there too. We're going to be giving you a lot of advice on how to kind of save money while also being romantic this Valentine's Day. And the reason that we're all a hubbub about roses is probably due to Aphrodite. Aphrodite cried these special tears. They came into the soil and up grew roses. How romantic. But if roses don't really do it for you, there is a great and many alternatives. You can consider a nursery gift card if your Valentine or your sweetheart, or if you're buying for yourself, if you know what plants you want, get you a gift card and maybe store that later in your little Valentine's Day bundle. If you maybe don't really have your sweetheart and they don't necessarily know what they're doing with plants, how about a locally sourced bouquet? You can get a locally sourced flower bouquet from the Bishop Flower Farm at the Copples Farmers Market on the 2nd and 4th Saturdays. And if you get it there early, you might be able to find some just in time for Sunday. I do want to do a quick PSA here. As we're giving you ideas for this Valentine's Day weekend, be sure to check online for things. Be sure to check social media for things. One, because it is cold out this weekend, and two, because COVID has made things some trickier and things like that. But I've seen a lot of communication online. So with that, I do want to present my locally sourced bouquet from my Galentine. I even got a handmade card from Miss Helen here. And then Miss Helen created this bouquet. And we have here lavender, we've got mint, we've got rosemary, of which is blooming. And you can do that little Instagram fan cam right there. And then we also have some dill and things like that. So this is locally sourced. It's going to be helping our pollinators as it grows. It also smells wonderful. Roses don't really smell like much to me. Not wrapped in plastic. I can only imagine my wonderful Helen has upcycled this vase that she's already had. And it's also just colorful. And the person in me, the Texas girl in me, really loves this over some plastic flowers grabbed from the grocery store. So that's my wonderful sourced bouquet as made by Helen. But Helen also has a wonderfully sourced bouquet, not by me, but Helen, where did you get that bouquet?
So I got this beautiful bouquet from Bishop Hill Flower Farms in Coppell. And don't tell anybody, but it's for my husband. I'm going to give it to him later. And these are locally grown flowers The proprietor grows these on her property and makes these beautiful bouquets. And these big, big flowers, and you can't see too well, but they have purple. They're purple on the inside, and there's purple and white petals. They also have these darker ones. These are anemones. And then this is a ranunculus that hasn't opened yet. And then we have some stock, and there's other flowers in this bouquet also. And these are so popular that she has sold out for Valentine's. But she does have a subscription service. So there might, I mean, if you want to talk about happiness and giving happiness throughout the year, consider a flower subscription service from a local flower farmer. And that's Bishop Hill Flowers. And I put the information in the chat.
And if flowers really aren't doing it for you, I don't know, maybe you know your Valentine has straight out said, flowers aren't my thing for Valentine's Day. Consider a plant. Our plants listed here will actually improve the air quality around you. So if you want your Valentine to be long and healthy and breathing clean air, you can consider some of these easy care plants. And if you know these easy care plants too, you know that you can even propagate them, give them back to your Valentines and give a plant back. So you can actually propagate plants such as a pothos really easily and keep that Valentine gift growing and going. If you really are not sure about plants and you need something really easy care, or maybe with some additional benefits, just as my rosemary and my lavender and things like that, or I can use medicinally, consider aloe vera, consider a rosemary bush, consider a lavender bush. I know grocery stores can sometimes sell these little bushes in bundles, as well as kind of hardware stores and things like that. So you can also stay in the know about plant sales around you, which is just a nice tasty fact, on Dallas Community Garden and Grow Garden on Facebook. You can also consider cactuses as well. They do sell heart-shaped cactuses just for your galentine on Valentine's Day, but cactuses are also something that's going to be easy care, and you're still giving something green at the end of the day. So we've covered cards, we've covered roses and flowers. Now what else to Valentine's Day but chocolates?
That's right. So chocolates are a Valentine staple, and they're delicious. However, many heart-shaped boxes are wrapped in plastic, and depending on what the box is made out of, like foil, it may not be recyclable either. More so, according to Scientific America, many of the small cocoa farmers in West Africa's cocoa belt, which extends from the Ivory Coast to Cameroon, supplies up to 70% of the world's cocoa, but it's suffering from low productivity. Planting more trees results in deforestation, and monoculture plantations are chemical intensive, which pollutes the water, like the stormwater Blythe mentioned earlier, and reduces overall biodiversity in that area. And as the planet grows warmer, these trees are withering in the heat and succumbing to diseases and pests. According to the US Department of Labor, the Ivory Coast and Ghana together produce nearly 60% of the world's cocoa each year. But the latest estimates found that 1.56 million children are engaged in hazardous work on cocoa farms in just these two countries. So that kind of puts a damper on chocolate, but there are things you can do. Look for fair trade chocolate. So when you get your chocolate bars, there's going to be a little logo right here. And this is a fair trade logo. And you'll see these on different kinds of chocolate bars. Now, what does that mean? Well, Mother Earth News explains it as food that comes from farms that have been certified to provide fair wages and safe working conditions, and forced child labor is prohibited. In addition, producers on these certified farms are paid a premium that they use for projects such as healthcare, women's leadership initiatives, and microfinance programs. And these programs are voted on by the farmers and the workers themselves. Fair Trade Certified also ensures that farmers obey internationally monitored environmental standards and empower farmers and farm workers with financial incentives and resources for organic conversion, reforestation, water conservation, and environmental education. So if chocolates are on your menu this weekend, Try buying specialty sweets from a local chocolatier. And here are a few in Dallas. Please check with each business for their operating hours, how they are conducting sales, and what they are offering for Valentine's Day. And just to share, Coco Andre is a Mexican-American family-owned chocolate shop and horchateria in Oak Cliff. Now, in a bit, I'm going to show you how easy it is to make chocolate dipped fruit to impress your loved one while using fair trade chocolate and local seasonal fruit. Fair trade chocolate bars aren't that hard to find. They're in most natural grocery stores. And I actually got these at Kroger, and they were buy one, get one free. All right, and so a fancy dinner, that's also synonymous with Valentine's Day. Well, guess what? The average American spends about half of their food budget dining out. On an EPA website, I found out that water used in hospitality and food service establishments account for about 15% of the total water used in commercial and industrial facilities in the United States. According to footprint.org, U.S. restaurants generate an estimated 22 to 33 billion pounds of food waste each year. But you know what? The restaurant sector is struggling, and a lot of us want to help. There is a way to enjoy a romantic dinner this evening and not punish the planet. So there is a Green Restaurant Association. It is a United States nonprofit that certifies restaurants and helps them become more environmentally responsible. They operate in 47 states in Canada, and they work with restaurants, manufacturers, and distributors to fulfill the mission of greening up the restaurant industry. Check them out at dinegreen.com. The restaurants along the top are Green Restaurant certified. And Bella Green is actually a chain. It's in multiple locations. They have a location in Houston, and that Houston location was one of the first Green Restaurants certified. Now, the city of Dallas has a Green Business Certification, which is a free service offered to businesses to help them in going green. That Green Business Certification program recognizes businesses that prevent waste, incorporate recycling, and promote reduce, reuse, and composting in their business operations. Any business who supports sustainability efforts can be recognized through the Green Business Program. And the businesses along the bottom are Green Business Certified. Now, Mixed was Green Business Certified, but it's temporarily closed. And the Garden Cafe, I wanted to add that in as a special bonus. It's not certified in either programs, but it's still a really special place. Watch for its reopening in the Junis Heights neighborhood. It's a hyper-local restaurant where just about everything served is made from scratch with fresh ingredients. They even source many of the herbs and vegetables from their own organic garden behind the restaurant that's surrounded by a beautiful patio. They serve organic, humanely produced, pasture-raised eggs and organic, fair trade, bird-friendly coffee. Now, if you're looking for something a little fancy and fun, check out the Dallas Public Library's Vegan Chef series. The first program is conveniently on February 13th, and it's the first of 3 that honors Black History Month. It's a convenient day because it's the day before Valentine's Day. Now, if you imbibe, consider serving an organic wine. So this one says it's made with organic grapes. But let's get back to the food. Vegan food is climate friendly. Livestock emits a lot of greenhouse gases, and depending on how that livestock is raised, it can contribute to storm water pollution from those farms. Now, you can make a weekend out of this if the weather cooperates by shopping for your dinner ingredients at a local market. Now, the Lakewood Village Farmers Market is part of Good Local Markets, and those are another option for farmers markets. They are juried markets that attract growers and artisans from a 150-mile radius. The vendors directly raise, grow, and produce what they sell. They also accept the Lone Star card. Now, they've postponed their opening. It was going to be on Saturday, but due to the weather, it is now February 21st. But as the weather has changed our outdoor plans, there's still a lot of information here that is good past this weekend. Now, the Dallas Farmers Market, I think they're still open. And you can go underneath the shed and you can visit those stalls. And that's where a lot of the local farmers are. But also go inside and check out Market Provisions. Market Provisions is a new take on the general store. You can find locally roasted coffee, sundries, and everything for a farm to table meal. They feature an assortment of local products, including meats, dairy, vegetables, and breads. Now, as a bonus, if you can turn this into a date day, the Dallas Farmers Market hosts weekend events and live music. So far, for February 13th, they're having a wine tasting with 10 Texas wineries. This event does cost money. It's $40 and it's from 11 to 5. Now, of course, you don't have to spend $40 to have fun. The Dallas Farmers Market's open all the time, and there are many, many wonderful restaurants and shops that you can visit. And speaking of really neat shops, as a super bonus, bring your own containers and find useful in the outdoor area. That's where you can refill your bottles of lotions and soaps and go zero waste.
So we talked about making a day out of things. We talked about, and this is going to be a theme with it as well in our PowerPoint, is looking good and feeling good and doing good for you. So dress to impress, but also sometimes we want to dress up just for us. And when we consider Valentine's Day, maybe we want to dig in our closet for a new outfit, or maybe we just want to go out and buy something new. But consider that fashion is the second largest polluter in the world, just after the oil industry. So if I need to say that again, consider the oil industry and then consider the fashion industry right below it and the pollution it gives. We also don't think about fashion and water waste really connecting, but water waste is definitely a factor within fast fashion and clothing creation and manufacturing. So I challenge you this, and me and Helen have done this challenge as well. So I'll explain it first, and then we can do a little bit of a show and tell here. But if you want to stay at home, select an outfit for your date with your date's consent. Or if it's just for you, go ahead and dig in the back, maybe get an early rise on spring cleaning and find an outfit that you haven't worn in a while. Helen, did you do that challenge that I signed?
Yes, I did. So what I did, it wasn't really that hard because since we've been in a pandemic for a year, I haven't really dressed up. But I did pull out a red shirt that I haven't worn in at least 6 months. And I actually don't wear jewelry very much since I'm working from home. But I pulled out this piece of jewelry, and it's very special. It's very sentimental because I bought it on a trip in Ireland, and I was with my sweetheart, my husband at the time. So this is very sentimental to me, and I added in my red festive shirt, and I am actually really enjoying dressing up, even if I'm at home.
I think I'm going to have to do that a lot this weekend because I'm not going anywhere. So I did do the challenge too, and since you showed for it, that's a funny thing about your necklace too, because I got these earrings with one of my best friends. So I guess you could say a galentine as well. I dug this shirt out from the back of my closet, and I'm also wearing a long skirt with leggings underneath to stay warm. So try messing with some layers, try that. Or if you want to take some precautions in COVID guidelines, we suggest maybe leveling it up and taking the Goodwill challenge. You could use $5, you can use $10, you can use a Goodwill gift card that you somehow have. But what you can do is you go to Goodwill and you pick an outfit out for your date, and that can be something goofy and fun, or that can be something slick and new, or something that you've never seen them in. And then you go home, wash those clothes, try them on, and then go out on your day-to-day or making dinner from the ingredients that you got at the farmer's market. I'll also take a moment here to maybe list some other good thrift stores. We talked about Genesis Benefit Thrift Store as well. If you go there, you're supporting a local women's shelter, and that's a great thrift store. They've got a lot of different options. There's also going to be Thrifties down on Garland Road or on 2nd Street. So I'm kind of a thrift store. I love going to thrift stores and things like that. But consider maybe digging in your closet, spring cleaning, then go visiting a thrift store and giving back to those the Genesis Benefit Thrift Store and things like that. So you're kind of helping your local community as well as getting something fresh and new. As if you're not really sold on buying a new outfit, you really have something in your shopping cart that you've been eyeing, I'm just going to quickly consider looking into fast fashion and fashion and clothes manufacturing a little bit more. On a previous Earth Day Every Day, we had a wonderful speaker, Miss Carmina, talking about fast fashion. And if you want to learn a little bit more, you could check out the Dallas Public Library's YouTube page. We have our own playlist because we are great friends, and you can see Carmina's YouTube on that playlist, or you can find her on Mina Del Text on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. She's pretty active. And just some fast facts about water and waste. Consider that we are buying 60% more garments than we used to 15 years ago. I'm sure we all bought a new sweat set or maybe a little bit more elastic since COVID kicked in. But also consider fast fashion that we are now keeping our clothing items half as long. We might have mom's sweater from the 80s or dad's tie from the 70s or something like that, but we really need to keep our clothes and our considerations on point because we may not still have that Forever 21 shirt 30 years from now. So just a little bit more to put in your basket for this Valentine's Day. But now we're bundled up, now we're looking good, now we have organic wine and we have our turtleneck on. So now let's have a tropical getaway.
That's right. So your sweetheart may want to take a trip to a tropical paradise, but there's one big problem with that. It's called the pandemic. But when it is time to travel, and anytime you do travel, you greatly increase your carbon footprint. And if you want to see how much carbon your flight generates and what it takes to offset it, you can visit this website called CO2, the number 2, .myclimate.org. And I will put that in the chat too. All right, so believe it or not, you can visit the tropics here in Dallas. So first, try North Park Center. It's decked out for the holiday of love. See colorful orchids, cacti, and bromeliads throughout the center. Mask up, get in some steps, and stay warm no matter what the weather is outside. And also, this is free. Now, for a twist, feel the tropics and journey to Texas Discovery Gardens at Fair Park. They have a 2-story tropical greenhouse filled with exotic butterflies. It has huge windows, massive tropical plants, and hundreds of butterflies. It will feel like you're in paradise. The butterfly house is always in the 70s. So no matter what the temperature is outside, you're going to be at a warm 70 degrees or more in that greenhouse. Plus, you can stroll through 7.5 acres of organic outdoor gardens when it's warmer. They also host 2 to 3 plant sales a year. Blythe mentioned that. And most recently, earlier this month, they actually had an indoor plant sale where they sold different succulents and cacti. Now, they suggest that you follow them on social media because they are at Fair Park, which is a COVID vaccination site. And they have specific instructions on how you can enter Fair Park and where to park because it is free to, you don't have to pay to park when you go visit them. And so you just want to make sure that you're going Wednesday through Sunday from 10 to 5. Those are when that's when they're open. And check their website and their social media for parking. And here's another bonus tip. Wednesdays are community day and the admission is pay as you wish. So you just leave a donation, any amount that you feel comfortable. And that they do this so that everyone can visit and enjoy Texas Discovery Gardens. All right. So, you know what? Valentine's Day is on Sunday, right? It's the weekend. Well, why not make a long weekend out of it? And I have no negative things to say about this. I think it's the perfect excuse to celebrate all weekend long because tomorrow, Friday, is a Lunar New Year. And red is a celebratory color. It symbolizes happiness in Asian cultures, and you see it in Lunar New Year decorations everywhere. Eating and sharing oranges or tangerines is actually a Lunar New Year tradition. That's because the Cantonese word for tangerine sounds like the word that means good fortune. And you always want to wish your loved ones, your friends and family good fortune in the new year. And not only that, the special thing about oranges and tangerines is you can find local Texas grown tangerines and oranges. So you can have fun celebrating all weekend long and high five for supporting local while celebrating global. Now, you can actually visit the Crow Museum of Asian Art of the University of Texas at Dallas. It's free and they follow COVID guidelines. They're open Tuesday through Sunday from 11 to 5. And they have several special exhibits, including one called Divine Spark, which features works of Texas-based contemporary Asian women artists. On the Crow's Facebook page, they have a weekly video series called Crow Unscripted. The last one that was on February 5th is a session about the 3 new exhibits they have at the Crow Museum. Now, to directly tie Lunar New Year in, you can visit the Jade Collection and see a jade ox, which is perfect to usher in the year of the ox. And to welcome Lunar New Year, starting on Friday, the Crow will have 14 vignettes for the 14 days of the New Year Festival with art activities and popular Lunar New Year traditions, all on their Facebook page and all for free. All right, so now our twist on a weekend celebration that incorporates Lunar New Year with Valentine's Day is that you can do this virtually. You can enjoy longevity noodles, you can give red envelopes to your household, and you can watch different Lunar New Year events for free. So our first one is actually tomorrow, Friday at noon, and it's a cultural presentation about Lunar New Year's traditions. It's going to show that jade collection from the Crow Museum, and also Dallas Animal Services is going to speak about oxen, and a city employee is actually going to share his personal reflections on Lunar New Year. That is held on Microsoft Teams, and I'll share that link. It is public and everybody is welcome. It's going to be from 12 to 1. Now, also you can enjoy live lion dancing. That's going to happen on Saturday at 10 a.m. That actually takes place at Asia Times Square, but they're going to broadcast that live on their Facebook page, which is Asia Times Square, Texas. And if you have never seen lion dancing, you get a little sneak peek here.
So we've talked about the weekend, we've talked about going indoors, we talked about bundling up. We're going to get some air. And of course, we can always save these tips if maybe we want to rain check our Valentine's Day outdoors or something like that. But love is in the air, so why not get in it? So our first little idea, these are just going to be some weekend bundling of ideas, is maybe consider the Dallas Public Library or a used bookstore such as Half Price Books and getting a bird guide. Grab binoculars that maybe we all have, but you can also grab binoculars at the store and go bird watching at the Trinity River Audubon Center. Believe it or not, winter is a great time to go bird watching. It's a nice thing to do if you want to rise up early in the morning, get some fresh air, and then bundle back up at home. If you would like to learn a little bit more about the Trinity River Audubon Center, I suggest that you go online. Be sure that it's not too cold. They have some open hours right now, and you can also look at advanced ticket purchasing. Additionally, the Great Backyard Bird Count is this weekend as well. There is so much going on this weekend. The weather will not stop it. You want to probably look online for it, but the Great Backyard Bird Count is you becoming a scientist for the weekend because you're participating in citizen science. So you'll be able to bird watch. You'll be able to maybe catch some new migrating species or maybe some species that we do usually see around in February, and you'll be contributing to that count. That way we know if everything's on par and normal, or maybe something's a little bit weird and that bird shouldn't really be here right now. So it's a great way to be a scientist this weekend, getting outside, and you can look more for the Trinity River Audubon Center. I also want you to consider the Dallas Public Library and a used bookstore for another fun tip that we have coming up. But if birds are not your thing, what about dogs? If you have not gotten your pandemic puppy, maybe now is the time. There's a lot of local shelters doing kind of Valentine's-y free adoptions. You want to look online. And Dallas Animal Services actually has a great cute date idea. You want to be sure that you're registered as a volunteer and oriented as a volunteer. And if you're not, be sure to contact Dallas Animal Services. They can get you oriented and things like that before you're able to do this. But you're actually able to walk and socialize the dog. So why not get you and your sweetheart oriented at the Dallas Animal Services, check them out, and then be able to give some community time to a pup in need. It may be cold, but you can bundle them up and take a walk with them, which is just what they'll need this cold, cold weekend. So if you want to find out more, you can go to their Facebook, Dallas Animal Services, or you can go online to their website. You can also become a foster at this time or adopt as well. So maybe dogs, birds, I don't know. I really wanted to pack a picnic. And that's very Valentine's-y. We know about packing a picnic, but consider maybe helping our community while we do it. The Love of the Lake on second Saturday, shoreline spruce up cleanup on February 13th. We want to check to be sure that it's not too cold for that. But on February 13th at 8 a.m., we can actually go out and help clean our lake and put a hand into helping the community. Again, another wonderful way to kind of get up, get to doing something with your sweetheart, get it over with, and bundle back up at home. Also, just a really fun fact as well, the Dallas Arboretum is discounted to $5 until February 19th. So considering that, their tulip season and their tulip festival is almost here. If you go visit around the 19th or 18th too, I 100% guarantee that you will be able to see tulips before they are kind of marked up price. So pay $5. You can go to the Dallas Arboretum, walk around, sit amongst that. If you're not seeing many tulips bulbing up, you might be able to see them planting the bulbs as well, which is a really special treat. Consider the Dallas Public Library and the used bookstore too. If you maybe are going out and packing a picnic solo with all those wonderful things that we got from this farmer's market, maybe consider a book of poetry to really romance up the air. It's also a nice thing to do if you just kind of want to take a single day out. And speaking of single day out, I made a great transition for myself because we love, me and Helen, I'll say, love Chicana in Nature. I would really suggest you looking them up on Facebook and Instagram, but Chicana in Nature is hosting 2 programs this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. It's called Single Survival Guide. So you don't have to be single to go, but you can definitely mingle while you're there, single or not. And it's kind of meant to be an outdoor survivals class. Chicana in Nature does a lot of things outdoors. If you're wanting to know the must needs and knows, kind of get your stamina up on hiking and things like that, this person is great to look up more on, and they have these Valentine's Day themed classes. These classes will have a small fee, but it is going towards someone that is trying to do their best here in nature, and you can get a little bit more specified knowing your Dallas surroundings and nature this weekend. So I just think that's a really great tip, and you can find out more on their Facebook and Instagram. So it's a lot of juicy things that we've just given you to do, and we've given you some ideas on how to pack up a basket and things like that and get out there. But maybe you want to show up to the doorstep already having your Valentine's Day treats, and we've kind of hinted at those. So with that, we're going to show you 5 projects me and Helen will be tossing back and forth. And Helen, do you want to take it away?
Yes, I do. And thank you very much, Blythe. All right, Jordan, I need to see my screen, please, to see how well I am fitting on here. Okay. All right. So one of the things I mentioned way back when we started this presentation was about making confetti out of the leaves of plants. So literally, we are going to punch holes in leaves to make a compostable and biodegradable confetti. And literally all you're going to do is punch holes in it. You can use a hand punch. You can use a punch like this, get some colorful leaves, and you can have different color confetti. And it's a very cathartic. All right. So let's take a look here and see what it looks like. So you literally have confetti made out of leaves. And this is also great to use for decorations, if you want to sprinkle it on your table, or an alternative to weddings, because this, if you're tossing this outside on the bride and groom, they will naturally compost. So that's green tip number 1 for your Valentine's. Now, next, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to celebrate Lunar New Year and Valentine's Day with a dessert. So I'm going to show you how to make chocolate dipped tangerines. So we mentioned how tangerines are a Lunar New Year tradition. And also we have our fair trade chocolates that we can easily get at different stores. So this is super simple. You're going to need the fair trade chocolate, some tangerines, a microwave safe bowl, and a spoon, and some wax or parchment paper, or this is a silicone baking sheet. This works really well too. And you're going to break up your chocolate. If you want to chop it up with a knife, that's fine too. But this way, it's easier to accidentally have one of these pieces go into your mouth if you use your hands. So you're going to break up your fair trade chocolate and you're going to microwave it for 30 to 60 seconds. So while that's going, there's some other things that might help you make this a little bit easier. So you might want to use some tongs, or perhaps a pair of chopsticks, or even a toothpick to help you dip your fruit. And of course, I had to find the smallest tangerines in the world to do this with. And this is also a lot of fun to do with children. And it's really nice. I like this because it's mixing that that sweet and tart together. And it's just super simple. Now, another thing you can do is when your chocolate is melted, you can mix a little bit of cooking oil, like vegetable oil, or even a little bit of coconut oil to thin out your chocolate and to make it shiny. All right, so here's my chocolate. The jar is very warm and is very nice on this cold day. So you want to give it a stir because you can actually melt some of those pieces in the hot chocolate. So this is when you could add a little bit of oil or coconut oil if you want to. And I'm only going to show you how to dip a few of these. So literally, you are just dipping these in here. And you can do like just dipping half. You can dip the whole thing. You could dip just one side. You can be as creative as you want to be with these. I like dipping them halfway. I think they're just kind of cute. You get to see the pretty orange and the chocolate colors. And it's also easy to pick them up because you get to pick up the part that's not chocolate covered. And then you can let these cool and let the chocolate harden on your counter, or you can even put this whole, all of this into your refrigerator and let it harden that way. There you go. And also make it super fancy. We've probably heard about chocolate and sea salt. Just put a little bit of sea salt on these to help bring out that chocolate taste. Of course, that is completely optional. If you want to limit the salt in your diet, just skip this step. And there you go. You have chocolate covered tangerines to help celebrate Lunar New Year and Valentine's Day. I'm going to save those and eat those after the presentation. All right. So next, I'm going to show you how to help romance for Valentine's Day. Maybe you need some romantic candlelight for your romantic dinner, maybe your vegan dinner that you're going to have. So I'm going to show you how to make a candle with used cooking oil and beeswax. And so for this, you're going to need so the original recipe calls for 150 milliliters of cooking oil and 100 grams of beeswax. Now I'm going to half the recipe. So I have 75 milliliters of cooking oil, and my measuring cup also has milliliters on it. So this made it really easy for me because my measuring cup has milliliters, and you probably have some too. So I'm using 75 milliliters of cooking oil, and I did use this and I fried plantains. So a shout out to my friend who taught me how to cook plantains. Now, again, you're not going to be able to use your air fryer. This has got to be the cooking oil. And I also strongly suggest you fry something like a vegetable. because of the odor. So like, if you fry fish or something like that, that might not make your candle as romantic. So I'm going to measure out 50 grams of wax. So my scale does allow for grams. Ah, almost. There we go, finally. Okay, 50 grams. And what you're going to do is you're going to mix these two together and then microwave it. And don't do that. Don't spill it on your counter like I just did. And that's another good thing about using oil that you fried plantains or a vegetable in. You don't have to worry about it if there's a little accident. And I guess since we're talking about used cooking oil, I should bring up our Cease the Grease and Defend Your Drains program. They actually have a way for you to recycle large quantities of used oil. So if you, let's say you fry a turkey for a holiday or a special meal, and you might not want to make a candle out of that oil, you can recycle it through the Defend Your Drains program, and they turn it into energy to help clean the wastewater. So I'm going to pop this in the microwave for about a minute to let this melt. All right, so the other supplies you're going to need for this is that you're going to need some string or twine, something like this. This is going to be your wick. You're also going to need scissors to cut your string. And you want to get something like a clothespin or an ink pen that has this clip on it, because you're going to use that to hold your wick in place. And then, of course, you want to have some sort of jar or heat-proof container. So I'm actually going to use a little spice jar, and I'm also going to use a ramekin. So I have these really cute ramekins that are in the shape of flowers. And I know that these ramekins can handle the oven, so it's definitely going to handle the heat from a candle flame. So you're going to want to cut your string so that it's a little bit longer or taller than your container. You can use this clothespin to hold your wick in place over your jar. So here is our oil and our beeswax. That's for 1 minute. The beeswax is starting to melt, but it's not completely melted yet. So I'm going to give this a stir, and then I'm going to put it back in. And with the recipe, you can make one large candle. Like, for example, this one I made the other day. You can make one big candle, or of course, you can make several smaller candles, which is what I'm going to show you. So we're going to fill up both of these. So I'm going to measure my wick. You want it to be at least 1 inch, 1 to 2 inches taller than the top of your container. And then for this one, I'm going to show you, like using the ink pen, how you can use it to hold your wick in place. Just like that. So you have the clothespin and you have the ink pen to hold your wick in place. Now I'm going to show you a little spoiler. This is one that I made in advance with the ramekin, so you can see just how cute this candle came out, and with my wick, and it is just great to have for Valentine's Day and for every day. Ah, here we go. Now that's really melted. So you can hardly see any of the beeswax in there. Give that a stir.
We got a question, and it asked, did you put some essential oils for smelling, or what's your take on that, Miss Helen?
So I actually do have some right here that I'm going to add in after I pour the oil into the container. So the essential oil is going to make your candle smell good when it's not lit, because these oils are not, these are like the ones that I have are made for my cold diffuser. They're not made for the heat. So they don't volatilize when it comes in contact with the heat of the candle. So it's not really going to add a lot of scent when you burn them. But it's a great question. Thank you so much for that. So I have my oil and my beeswax melted, and all you do is pour it right in. Pour some in here. I'm going to pour a little bit. I might not even have enough for this one. Oh, there it goes. You also want to make sure you really scrape your measuring cup clean, because when this candle wax hardens, it's going to be hard to clean out. So you want to get as much as you can out of it, or you can also microwave it again to help loosen up that candle wax. All right. And I am going to add some essential oils. So you have to add quite a few drops, because my other ones, I added some and I never really smelled it. So, and of course you can mix and match your flavors or your scents and put in your sweetheart's favorite scent. There you go. And you're going to let this sit for, well, today's really cold, so it might need a little bit more time, but it could be, for a couple of hours. And then they are going to turn into this. So here's the one I already showed you. And here's another one I used from the little spice jar. So these were just little bitty spice jars I had, and I cleaned them out, and look how cute that is. So this is an example of the seed paper that we made in December for the Procrastinator's Green Gift Guide. I saved a heart, and I put the twine. This is the same twine I used for the wick, and I just wrapped it around there, and I made the cutest little candle. And just to show you guys, these do work.
There's a question in the chat too. It says, can we use a little stick or a chopstick? I think that would absolutely work. Helen, I see you have some chopsticks right there. Did that work for you?
You mean to hold the wick?
Yes.
So what worked for me was a clothespin or the ink pen, because you'd have to, I guess you could, you'd have to wrap it around the chopstick to hold it in place. You'd have to probably tie it on there because it doesn't have a way to close on it. So using the clothespin worked a lot better for me. Or like I showed you with the ink pen, because it has the clip on it. So hopefully you have a ink pen that at your home that you can use. But I do agree. If you tied the string on here and then held it over, it would work. And then I want to share just one bonus that I forgot when it came to the tangerines. If you save your peels from oranges and tangerines and some citrus products and keep them in a jar, you can actually take regular white vinegar, fill this to the, just cover your peels with the vinegar, keep this underneath your sink for 30 days, and then you created your own orange cleaner. So I actually emptied out that jar into the spray bottle, and I used it to clean my kitchen before this presentation. And also I'm going to have to use it again since I spilled that oil. So that's another tip, and helps you go zero waste. You can use these spent orange peels, create your own non-toxic green vinegar cleaner. And with that, I think Blythe is ready to show us a few things.
I sure am. I also see a question here in the chat. I wasn't able to during my presentation, so I love seeing the chat happening. And Helen, how much do you think it costs for a bag of beeswax? That's not a riddle. I just really want to know.
Kevin, do you remember? So the beeswax, you can get it. I ordered this one online because I wanted some specific things in it. How much was this? And you can also get it like different crafting type stores and stuff like that. And also their beeswax comes in different forms. Like this is obviously a small pellet. You can also buy it in a big chunk, almost like a brick. And that's usually a softer beeswax, and you cut it into squares. So it looks like this one was, I think because it's all organic and everything, this one was $15 for this bag and it's 16 ounces. But like I said, there's many, many, many other options.
Awesome. 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 So we've got candles lit. I keep mentioning our organic chocolates and wines. So with that, I'm talking about feeling good, doing good. Let's make a spa at home. And for myself here, I have my own little spa at home recipe using a book that I got from a reused bookstore. I believe it was Half Price Books many years ago. And what I have done here is called Homemade Beauty. In case you want to look a little bit more on it, I'm not sponsored by her in any way, but I've been using this book. And what we can do is send a little recipe card afterwards as well. But this is what I have made. Now, I grabbed my mason jar from the farmer's market. I ate some delicious pickles out of it from T-Rex Pickles. And then I filled it with a brown sugar vanilla body scrub. And that's just a couple ingredients. I'm going to do it live for you here. I've really tried to get my pioneer woman out and have these pre-measurements for you. So what we have done is I just got any old mason jar. I'm going to be sure that this can seal tight, because once I'm done, I'm just going to leave it. I can stir it once I need, and then I'm just going to store it in a place. So this is a great little spa gift that you can just store anywhere. And what I've done is I've gotten some brown sugar, and I have halved this recipe, funny enough, and this is going to be a half batch. And this is what I'm going to show you today. If you would like more, you can double all of these. And I bet that would fill up the jar about 3/4 full. So what I have done is I have taken 1 cup of just regular old brown sugar. What this is going to be doing is kind of acting as an exfoliant for your skin. And then it's going to ask for a 1/4 cup of olive oil. I'm really using anything here. I would promote sustainably sourced and locally sourced olive oils and sugars and things like that. I'm also going to take a 1/4 cup or 4 tablespoons of vanilla extract. That's going to give it that vanilla brown sugar, right? The olive oil also acts as a nice moisturizer as well. And then I'm going to take a 1/4 cup of honey as well. So 1 tablespoon of vanilla. I might have said 4. So we just want 1. We don't want it being too powerful. And then we want a 1/4 cup or 4 tablespoons of that honey. And since that honey is so slow and this project is about to get sticky, I'm going to do a callback to the chopstick. And I had some chopsticks here. And what I noticed while making this wonderful batch for y'all is that the olive oil can sometimes separate in this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dedicate this as my sugar scrub chopstick. I'm going to pour that honey in there, real delicious. Like, I'm going to use it as my stir. That brown sugar is really soft. I left that out on my counter, and now I'm able to mix it up really easily. I know you can mostly see hands, but it's smelling really nice. Smells like that moisture olive oil. That brown sugar is making the nice crunchy sounds. I know it's going to be a great exfoliant. I stir it up, and what I can do is either put a lid on this. I can half that chopstick, dedicate this as my body scrub stir. I can even use it for easily applying, or I can just toss this for later. So really easy, a really nice way. And honestly, I'll say a little goes a long way for all of these recipes in this book. All I'm going to do is scrub any kind of maybe a dry spot, my legs, my arms. I use this as a scrub. And then I can probably just wash it off in the shower. I can wash it off right away, or I can just wash it off in the shower. Really exfoliates, especially due to how cold it is. We might all be a little bit more dry. And then it will get a little bit darker just because those oils have seeped in. Now I have my wonderful Valentine's gift. I can even add the twine and the seed paper from previous. And then, you know what I want to do? I don't want to wrap this in more plastic and more foil and more bags and things like that. I can either maybe use a reusable bag. We've got a great tutorial on how to make a t-shirt bag. I believe that's going to be from Earth Day Every Day, or we have something that we're pulling from the Green Gift Guide. Helen's coming in right on cue for how to wrap this with cloth. And I know we have a lot of bandanas, maybe from buying masks and things like that, but if you have a cloth piece around, you can definitely wrap it in an eco way.
Thank you for that fantastic lead in, Blythe. So we're going to talk a little bit about furoshiki. It is the ancient Japanese practice to wrap gifts in a fun way that's versatile and environmentally friendly. It's a practice that uses a piece of cloth to wrap and transport items. So traditionally, this is done with a square piece of fabric, usually 17 inches by 17 or larger, 28 by 28. But let me tell you what, we're talking real life, right? Almost any piece of fabric you already have will work. Think about maybe cutting up some old pillowcases, some old bed sheets, maybe an old tablecloth. You could even use towels, and my favorite is to use scarves and bandanas. Also, it doesn't have to be exactly square. So I'm going to show you how to use this red bandana that we probably all have, how to wrap the mason jar like Blythe was talking about, and also how to wrap something else. Now, to wrap something like a jar, any type of jar, you're going to need a bandana plus a rubber band. And what you're going to do is you're going to place your item in the center of your cloth. You're going to take one corner and you're going to pull it up, and you basically want to measure how tall your jar is. Then you're going to flip over the excess cloth. And the nice thing about this is it doesn't have to be super exact, because it's fabric. It doesn't leave creases. You're not going to tear it or anything like that, like with wrapping paper. So we started with this side. You're going to go diagonal to the opposite side and do exactly the same thing. You are going to take this and basically measure how tall your item is. Lay that down, and you can have your item sit on the extra cloth. So now this is where it gets a tiny, tiny bit complicated. You're going to pick up one of these edges and you're going to make pleats. So you just make simple pleats. Just use your fingers. It does not matter the size, the quantity, or anything like that. You're just going to make pleats. Then you're going to use this rubber band to help hold this in place. Then you're going to repeat this on the opposite side. So pick up an end and just make pleats. It does not need to match your opposite side, because in the end, you're really not even going to see it. So then also tuck this under the rubber band like that. And then you're just going to spread them out a little bit. That's why it doesn't really matter. And also the other nice thing about this is if you don't like it, you can redo it. You haven't left any creases or any tears in the fabric. You can just take it apart and do it over again. So now you have your two ends here, and all you do is bring these up and tie these in a knot. And then you just watched me just have this thing completely fall apart. So now you get to watch it again. And that's the other nice thing. Like I said, there's no tears, there's no rips. If you mess up, it's easy to repeat it. You can see how quickly this comes together. Take your two tails here, your two opposite ends, and just tie them in a simple square knot at the top. Open up the little bows here, and you have yourself a wrapped mason jar of your scrub that you made with a lot of TLC. And now you have a second gift to give to your sweetheart. And there is no waste here at all. And you can see how quickly that came together. So you can use this technique for any sort of item that's tall and skinny. So for example, even something like this. So now I'm going to show you how to wrap something in a different shape using the exact same bandana. So we had talked about going outside and getting some air and going to look at birds, and the backyard bird count is this weekend. So let's say you go to the library, you get yourself the book, or you go to a half-price bookstore and you got yourself a bird guide. You can also wrap this in a bandana. You want to place it diagonally in the center of your fabric. And on this one, all you're going to do is take your long end, bring this up, and you're almost doing the exact same thing. You're going to kind of basically measure the length. You're going to fold your fabric to be even with the edge of your gift. Then you're going to go to the opposite side and do exactly the same thing. Bring this over, fold the extra fabric back like that. And now we have our two ends. And what do we do with our two ends? We simply tie them into a knot. Do you want to open up your tails here? You can also, any sort of thing, if you don't like that look, you can tuck this in underneath your knot. Get some nice clean edges there. Open up your little bows. And then if you were also doing perhaps your floral bouquet as a gift, you might have a few extra sprigs left, and you can slide these right in to add another little gift from the garden. And that's how you can wrap your special DIY Valentine's gift in a zero waste way.
We have a question in the chat. Can I do this with an old t-shirt? What do you think?
I think you'd have to cut the shirt. It needs to be one layer because you know the t-shirt has the front and back side. So if you cut your t-shirt into as square as you can. So originally I mentioned how traditional fukushiki is 17 inches by 17 inches or 28 by 28. So I think if you cut your t-shirt, you can get 2 wrappings out of one t-shirt. So yes, you can definitely use a t-shirt. You might want to be careful if it's a white t-shirt because you might see through to what the gift is. And then also I wanted to show you, so this is the candle I just made. And you know, it is pretty cold today. You can see it's already solidifying. It's actually still a touch warm. So you can see that making the candles is actually pretty quick and easy. And they actually dry pretty quickly. And here's the other one. It's already starting to harden also. Are there any other questions?
We had one earlier. For those tangerines, going back to that, did you use dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
I personally love dark chocolate. And I think the dark chocolate goes really nice with the tanginess of the tangerine. And of course, there are different grades of dark chocolate. So for example, this one's 72%. I did this once before because I had a practice and I used like an 80 something percent. So you can use whatever chocolate you and your sweetheart like the best. But I love having it with 72% or darker chocolate. And you guys didn't see it, but I already ate the extra chocolate I had.
And Helen did give me a Galentine's dropout, and she did include a bar of chocolate, and I didn't know if it was an accident, so I made sure not to eat it, but now I will eat all of it. There also is a question that can you use herbs for the candle or fruit or food coloring? And I'll say that if you have your locally sourced bouquet, you can probably sprinkle in maybe some lavender petals or some rosemary sprigs in your candle just to give it that nice aesthetic look. As far as fruit, I'm not too certain in food coloring. Helen, I'll take your take on that.
So I think if you're going to use fruit in your candle, you'd probably want to use dried fruit. And also I would put it more on the edges and not so much where the wick's going to be. But, and also if you're using something like, so this is, you cannot see through this. So you can only see what's on the top. And I guess as it burns down. Now, if you use something like a glass jar that you're able to see through, or this one's probably a better example, then you could also put it along the edges. So that might get it a nice, pretty look. Like if you had dried orange slices, for example, in here, that might be a really nice, pretty look. And then you added some orange essential oil. So you had a really orange-tastic candle. I think that would work. And then I think the herb leaves are a good idea too, but I would also consider drying those before you add them in.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you all for your questions. I don't think there's any more questions in the chat. Now, like Blythe mentioned earlier, everyone who registered for this program, an email will go out in a couple of days, and we actually have some recipe cards and a sheet with all of those links that I shared in the chat. So I know that was a lot of links I threw at you, but you will get a document that has all of those links in there so you can access all of those resources. And I have to say my orange cleaner did a really good job of cleaning up my counter from the orange cleaners are a very good grease cutter. So when you have spilled oil, that orange cleaner works very, very well. Wonderful. Well, we are at 1:18. Helen, do you have any other Valentine's-y tips before we let Jordan take it away?
I think I just want to thank everybody for spending your time with us today and hanging out with us as we went a little over the hour. Also, we have our next Earth Day Every Day is going to be featuring two of the Dallas City arborists. They're going to talk about trees, the benefits of them, how to care for them, how to select one, how to plant one. And also there will be a live pruning demonstration because this is the time to prune your trees. And for Valentine's Day, I do wish everyone great health, great happiness, and a wonderful day surrounded by everyone you love.
Wonderful. I'll say a happy Lunar New Year to everyone. A happy Galentine's Day, a happy Valentine's Day as well. I'm going to try to drop that Earth Day Every Day TLC for trees in the chat. And I'll say thank you so much for hanging out with us on this wonderful Valentine's-y, citrusy Earth Day Every Day. And if you're curious about more, we hope to see you on future sessions.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you so much.
And just to add to Helen's, a reminder that this Monday, if you follow the other program that we do, Grow With Us, we will not be having a program this Monday as it's a city holiday and departments are closed. So the next one will be on the 22nd. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you.